Well, oh man, the internet's all screwed up. So we got the countdown, but it didn't do the intro. Uh-oh. Let me see if the intro works, not just because I have to do the intro, but because if I need to screw with the internet, it's better that I do it now than in the middle of the show. Hang on here. Let's see what's up. All right, now I feel like we could start the show properly. I don't know. I don't know what happened. If it was the internet lag, or I don't know if maybe I clicked it twice. Whatever it is. Thanks for being here tonight. It is Proper Royals Live, 8:00 on a Tuesday night on March 19th. I can tell you factually, 12 years ago, right now, I was playing music in North Carolina, and my wife told me that she was having contractions. And I said, it's probably those fake things, right? Because I'm in North Carolina drinking beer, playing music, and you're a little early. And a couple hours later, she said, yeah, they're admitting me. And I set down the drink and I packed up the guitar and I drove from North Carolina all the way to Jacksonville, Florida. And I did make it in time. I made it very quickly, relatively speaking, but it was still a good 6.5 hours probably. I made it before sunrise and I made it before my son was born. And that's a long way of saying that it is my son's 12th birthday tonight. So you're going to get a show. We're going to do a full show, but 8:15 our Central Time, 9:15 East Time. We're going to have a pretty hard line tonight. And the cool thing is that I got Jeremy Warfel on, who is pretty good buddy. And I bet if I twisted his arm, he'd come back if we get, unfinished business to tend to. I can only be so lucky, matter of fact, but I feel good about that. And hot off the weekend, fresh off the weekend, whatever the word of Tinley. I got back from Tinley yesterday and I'm pretty tired and catching up and blah, 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 just like everybody else says. So we'll talk a little bit about Tinley tonight. Jeremy wasn't there, so it's not like I'm going to bore him with just like story time with Adam. He's the guest. We want to get content from Jeremy. Tinley was very, very cool. Like a really, really quick recap. I didn't do a whole lot of sales. I want to talk about Chris from B and S Reptilia, his participation in Tinley with me. And I'll tell you the people that were there. I don't know this factually, but I'm quite sure I overheard this. That Saturday was the biggest day at Tinley ever. Most people, lines out the door, that kind of stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to talk with Jeremy about sort of some things that we share, both being snake breeders, both being dads and husbands, podcasts. I want to hear about, I want to pick his brains about these auctions that have been going on and what he's doing with those. And then we got to talk about the summer plans too. Jeremy hosts a very big, very cool barbecue. And I think I got to talk to him about this too. I think in my heart that it's going to get out of hand this year is what I think. I think it's gotten so big that it's going to be problematic, but we'll talk about that with Jeremy too. And he's not going to change his plans. I mean, that's just us talking, but I'd like to hear his thoughts on it. Quick announcements. Straight off of Tinley, I head out to Green Bay this weekend for Scaled Up Expos show in Green Bay. That you have to look it up. It's at a casino, which I don't know if it was a good idea or not. But anyway, it's at a casino. I'll be there on Sunday. My new pieds have all shed from that clutch. Sorry, my voice is almost gone from hawking snakes all weekend at Tinley. I've got some new pieds. I got 2 black pewter pieds, 1 male, 1 female, 1 black pastel pied, and 1 black pewter het pied. And that one's a male as well. So if anybody's interested, you can let me know, but I will say the Patreon gets first dibs on those, but they are ready. After Green Bay, I head out to Des Moines, Cold-Blooded Expo, and then Minneapolis, a hometown game. I'm kind of interested in that Minneapolis show, which is always really good. That's the same weekend as the Dallas NARBC. And I think factually, the three like biggest breeders will be in Dallas that are usually at the Minneapolis show. That's going to put me pretty near the top, I think. I know that's not a very humble thing to say, but I mean, what I'm saying is, from the size of the fish to the size of the pond, I'm going to get a little upgrade in there. I want to see how that does for me. See, I did that in the same breath. I put myself at least at number 4, which is modest, but if they're not there, I mean, that's what has to happen, right? We'll see how that goes. Thanks everybody in the audience for joining. It was so good to see some of y'all. I usually don't do all these kind of shout outs and stuff, but Rick, how you doing, man? It's great to see you at Tinley, which is kind of funny because he's from here in Minneapolis. Jeremy, I trust y'all got home all right. Good to see you. Thanks for everything this weekend. It's great hanging out. Phil, what's going on? I don't even know what's Yeah, I was going to ask somebody about that. Yeah, Jeremy says Saturday was good for us, but Sunday, I guess factually speaking, yes, I did sell less on Sunday, as hard as I thought that would be to do, because I didn't sell much on Saturday. But yes, that is true. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Let's get on with the show. Jeremy Warfel and I met each other via this whole YouTube, Instagram world of ball python breeders. It's got to be close to 3 years ago. Which is going pretty far back in my run, especially when it comes to YouTube and that kind of deal. So it was neat to see. He and I started our show basically at the same time. I think if we look at history, maybe I was a week or two ahead or something like that. But so many people have come and gone, and they all have their reasons. I'm not knocking anybody, and I mean that. So, but it's really neat that here's Jeremy still cranking with his own set of sponsors, his own sort of brand identity, and frankly, some of the challenges we'll talk about too. He's still, thankfully, he's still married. He's still a dad, and still making his way like I am. So we're going to get into all that, but really, this is just a fun show where I get to hang out with, I don't know if I've been around long enough to say I have old friends, but one of my oldest friends in the industry. So please welcome back to the Proper Royal stage, Jeremy Warfel. Jeremy, how you doing, brother?
What's up, bro? Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on tonight.
You are welcome. I think I'm going to feel bad about this answer. How long has it been since you've been on the show?
Since the last time I was on?
Yeah.
Now you're putting me on the spot, dude.
Well, here's why I asked.
It was last year.
Okay, so
yeah, it was last year.
So I went back through, because I had to make the thumbnail. Hate to admit it, this afternoon because I was behind. So I'm making the thumbnail, and I was looking for
killer shot. I got
which one? The picture I got for you?
Yeah, killer freaking shot, dude. I loved it.
I was in a jam. I was like, I'm just going to grab whatever I can from Instagram and let's see what magic Canva cooks up for it. And I'm glad you like it. It was cool too, though. It was with your carpet. So, it wasn't just the typical shot. But why I ask, when I go to Canva, if it's somebody who's been on before, I can just grab their logo off of a previous thumbnail. And I was trying to find what picture I would use. I was like, I got to go to Instagram now, go find one. I couldn't find that you had been on, or I couldn't find the thumbnail of you being on since you did the like the breeder roundtable episode, but that was like a year and a half ago, man.
Yeah, that was like not when we did the breeder roundtable. Wasn't that like a New Year's thing? I thought
so, which would make
that
it
was like 2 New Year's ago,
right? Yeah, that would have made it like 16 months. Has it been that long, or did we do a show? I know I've been on your show.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of too. Maybe I don't know. Whatever we're on, it's just chill, hanging out. It's like you said, it's
Right.
old friends. It is literally old friends.
Well, it makes it easy for show prep. I know that, and it's comfortable and all. You know, I don't have to. You know, you're a known commodity. I don't have to worry about, you know, oh my gosh, what's somebody going to say? I mean, by and large, you have your moments, but I mean, you know, audience, there is hope. We can, you know, we could see, but man, that's too. First, it's too long. I feel bad because I apparently haven't invited you in that long, which doesn't make any sense. Especially, how difficult is it for you to book guests? Like, is that like something like dreadful every week that you go through, or what's your routine on that?
It's all right. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, since like this year, I've really cut it close with booking guests a lot. Like before, I used to book out like 2-3 months ahead.
Yeah,
and I also got a lot of people going, well, that's too far for me to book out to. And so I started getting shorter and shorter. And now I'm at the point where it's like towards the end of the month, I start booking for the next month. So like I don't know if I've slacked. I guess it's kind of slacking because it's just doing the content for the you know, the normal weekly video that started taking up time. And obviously, like the more snakes you have,
yeah,
the more it's like, what content am I gonna make? And so I drag a little bit more trying to make sure what I'm creating for everybody is worth the while. And so that slows me down a lot.
So you do one live show a week. You're still cranking out about one video a week though, too, long form, right?
Yep. One regular video every Wednesday, it drops 10 a.m. Live stream every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Right.
And then once a month, I do a channel member live, or I do my best to do a channel member live once a month.
Oh, smart.
Every once in a while, I do slack on that. I've been really good this year. I think last month I pushed it off to the beginning of this month just because I had a guest. I had Nathan from Infinite Possible Pythons on to talk about branding and marketing,
right,
you know, do's, don'ts, things to think about and consider. I had to push it back just to make it was a better time for him. So I figured, you know what, they'll be fine.
On your member page broadcasts, are they like everybody's on together, or is it more like what you're talking about where you'll have a featured guest that's doing content just for those members?
It's both. Like, and this year I switched it up a little bit because it used to just it'd be all of us just hanging out, you know, BSing and bouncing ideas off, you know, just basically chilling and getting ideas from one another. And then Nathan and I were talking the one night when I was over there at his place, and he goes, dude, why don't you do something like this? He goes, it brings, you know, it adds a little bit more to the membership aspect of it and gives them a little bit more meat, you know, for what they're paying. And what they're paying is, I mean, to me anyway, it's not like I'm not charging like $20 or $30 or $50 for my top tier membership. I think my top tier is like 10.
Okay.
So it's not like it's something drastically huge, but every bit of it's greatly appreciated, you know?
Heck yeah, that's right. That's right.
So his idea was, you know, have people come on and talk about certain things like the branding thing. And Nathan was the perfect person that I could think about for that, because that's his job. Like,
that's his job, right?
That's his normal job. And that's his person, like, that's his business. He does branding and stuff like that as his business. So who else better to do it than him? I'm going to get on some other breeders here at some point, like maybe Bob Vu one time or Billy.
Right.
You know, going to pull from the knowledge of these people that we have in the industry that are willing to share it and give, you know, the select people that want to pay for the membership, give them that time where they're not having to compete with other people trying to get their question out to this person, to where you can kind of focus in and spend a little bit more one-on-one time with them.
Yeah, it's nice to figure out how to try and bring value. So I like picking other people's brains, because I've done some of the hangouts before, and it's like 5, 6, 8 people sort of talking over each other, which is okay, but it's not hanging out like,
yeah,
don't feel like there's much substance there, which sometimes there doesn't have to be. Just I don't know how much substance is ever there when 4 guys are sitting around drinking a beer, like it's okay. It doesn't have to be. On the other hand, I wrestle with they're paying for it, and they could hang out on their own without me, without paying for it. So, I try and bring value that way. And you mentioned you felt like you're a little inconsistent sometimes. I'm terribly inconsistent with it. So and I'm talking in Patreon versus the channel membership, but similar model. I'm thinking similar mindset,
same thing, basically.
Yeah. So I've always just decided that anything other than sort of the tip tier, not the tip of the iceberg, like, hey, I just want to throw you a tip at them. Anything more than the tip tier just turns into store credit. So, but it's dangerous because now I give myself a pass sometimes because I'm like, well, they're going to get their money back, so I can miss this, and that's not cool to do. I'm doing a hell of a job selling my Patreon here, aren't I? But so it's not really what I try and do, but sometimes I do run into that. And so anyhow, what I'm really saying out loud is that I'm excited about that. And it's very important to me, but I do need to get better about engagement and new ideas. So I like picking people's brains on that. And that needs to be something I need to focus on.
It's really hard with obviously we've all got the snakes, we've got the breeding, the cleaning, all that stuff. We've got families. It's hard to cut that, at least for me anyway, to cut that sliver, because I'm still working most people say 9 to 5. Mine's a literal 5 to normally 5, maybe later.
No, I know you're doing those like 3:30, 4 a.m. wake ups, man.
Yeah, so it's really hard sometimes to find the energy, find the time. And because sometimes you just want to sit down and just take a deep breath and just be like, I'm done. I'm done. And about the time you think you're done, somebody comes up with the problem and you got to solve it. Normally it's one of the little ones.
Right. Yeah. And I know that we both know this, like everything that we're saying is true. But at the end of the day, it's also what we signed up for, and it's not the customer's responsibility to feel bad for us. There's an easy solution. We give them all their money back, and we end it, and we call it a day. So, and we're not going to. I'm saying that facetiously. So I do get it. I realize a little bit of that. Now you have a different scenario than I have, though. You still got my youngest and oldest, one and only, is 12 years old. So I have it's less of a burden now than having a very, very, how old's your youngest now? 2 years yet? Year and a half?
The youngest just turned 1. The oldest is 7, is almost turning 17. So I was almost clear.
You were almost there.
I was almost there. And then Kara had to knock me back down to level.
This is one of those few times that I wish that I hadn't set a brand of me not saying certain things, because there's a whole lot running through my head right now, but we're going to let it be. We leave it alone. We'll save that for the summer.
Yes.
So I gotta say hey to Miguel. I haven't seen him in a long time. Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. We were good friends in Florida. It was fun to do the shows with Miguel. Another funny story, when I go through and I'm booking, it's always a blur, like trying to remember everything. I advertised his appearance on the show as Perfectly Executed Reptiles, not Perfectly Engineered. And I think of execution as like perfection and operation. When we talk about it in the restaurant, we're going to execute perfectly tonight. Even going back to my earliest pro wrestling fandom days, Bret Hart, the excellence of execution, it's just good stuff. And he's like, I have to be 100% clear, folks. I'm not executing any animals. Like, oh no. It all came.
You know what? Like, it's funny you brought that up, because a guest that I had on a couple of shows ago, literally, I like the second I booked them, I kept in my head saying their business name over and over and over, because every time someone would ask me who was on, I would say the wrong name. Like, because I would, I think it was Adrian's Creative Creations or something like that. And I always wanted to put exotics because they had so many different species that they were working with.
Right.
And my head, like my brain just kept auto-filling exotics into the end of it. And brought them on live. And even right before the live, I was going through my head, just saying the business name over and over and over. And what came out of my mouth was exotics. I'm just like, and then they just started laughing. Just like, no. I explained myself. It's like, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, and that's some of the stuff behind the scenes. Like the reality is we book, maybe not 52 guests a year, but we book 40 plus a year and probably 45 plus a year. And, and part of the fun, yes, is hanging out with good buddies. But part of the fun also is meeting people that I would never necessarily come across, outside of Instagram posts, and spending time with them. So I try and do like the old buddy shows, maybe 25, 30%, and then 65, 70% new people as well. And I mean, I always learn something, but it seems like I learn a whole lot more with brand new people because we've already dug into deep topics before, So, hey, before it escapes my mind, we should talk about somebody that's a good buddy to both of us, and that's Chris at B and S Reptilia. He sponsors us both.
He does.
Puts up with us both on a pretty regular basis, right?
I was gonna say, I was on the phone with him today, a couple days before that. He actually went up and picked up a snake for me that I won from the holdback rack auction.
Oh, cool. Where was that at?
It was the Scranton show up in Scranton, PA. He was going up there to get some snakes that he had bought off of the auction from the same person I won this one from. So he goes, I'll just pay for it and just square up with me at Gettysburg. He's like, all right, freaking awesome, dude. Thanks. Saved me a trip.
Yeah. So I was so exhausted driving home. I took a nap on the way home. I was so worried about falling asleep. But I haven't caught up with Chris about how the show was. So for those people that don't know and don't realize, Chris and I had sort of a strategy that we figured out we were going to get a table at Tinley. And that strategy didn't actually work. But at the last minute, another opportunity came up, and I called him. I was like, "Hey, I think we got this table," and it was totally out of the blue. So we got it, and then this Tinley came around, and Chris said, I'm not going to share specifics, but he said, I really want to be a part of this, but I can't make it this year, and I'd like to be able to continue with you if that's cool. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's cool. And I'm, I like to think I'm thankful for people that helped me along the way. And anyway, Chris is one of those folks. So Chris, it was, other than pre-sales, I really didn't do much at Tinley, and that's for everybody. I did have a couple people pick up your cards, and I made sure that they knew how to get to you, but it is literally the last table in the last corner back there. So I don't know if placement had something to do with traffic or not. The other part of it was I didn't have any magnificent stuff. It's the end of my new hatchlings haven't arrived yet, and the stuff from 2023 is, you're like, well, okay. So anyhow, I moved a little bit, but really my show was pre-sales, and then I moved a lot of t-shirts. I got to say, there's more and more Proper Royals t-shirts out there in the wild. So if you ever see me at a show and you'll relieve me and bring me a cup of coffee, I'll give you a free t-shirt. That's what I was like, man, because Saturday is I need Chris's help on this. Chris, how early was Saturday last year? They opened a VIP at 7:30 this year. And they opened VIP at the same time as vendors. So you're getting into the room while your customers are getting into the room.
Oh, that's not cool, dude. You got to have a little bit of like prep time.
I mean, you want to, but I mean, you're prepping while they're coming. Yeah. So Sunday morning in my tower, two of my big animals had food all and like it's bad enough to have to clean a display, having to clean a tower of the big ones. It was awful. And there's people like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, and just one of the glamorous parts of my job here, you know? So, but anyway, yeah, B and S said, Chris says is 7:30 as well. I don't know. It was early. Yeah. Rick says it's always 7:30 on Saturday. Well, anyway, maybe the excitement had made me forget about it, but I was like, whoa, that was something. So, anyway, what I'm trying to say is, Chris, thanks for all the support. And I know you've meant a lot to Jeremy and I. So hopefully you make it out in October and we will try and do that again. Yeah, it was congested. I mean, that back corner is congested, and Cold Blooded Cafe is right across the aisle from me, and they have all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. It could have just been me. It could have been, again, it's the old size of the fish versus the size of the pond. And that is a big pond with some really, really massive fish in it,
Now, what was the coolest snake you saw there? It doesn't have to be ball python. Like, what was that one snake that just, like,
I didn't walk around much and I didn't get to see very much. I know, as crazy as that sounds. So I'm not that sure on I'd have to think about what crazy snake. I know I didn't even see him. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't see him. Steve Casino had some zebra stuff. I think it was DG zebra stuff that would have been pretty cool to see. And I was at his booth, but I didn't stop and look. I'll tell you what did catch my eye, and I'm going to put it on a reel on Instagram, was the bright, like orange, like Brandon Nixon's logo on the top of the screen, the orangest adult iguana I've ever seen. You know how like a ball python that's that orange as a baby would be, many shades lighter. It'd still look cool, but it would be much lighter as an adult. That thing looked like the Nickelodeon slime had hit it, that's green slime. I mean, it was orange. It was like the Nickelodeon logo, man. It was bright orange. So I actually stopped and just filmed it, and then I made sure to get the guy's banner behind it. But that thing was incredible. And there was a very cool, immediately across the aisle from me, it was some sort of monitor. I think it looked like a monitor, but it was just as bright blue. That thing was pretty neat too. It was smaller. But
it was probably one of those blue tree monitors or whatever they are. I think I know what you're talking about. Those things are they're gorgeous, man.
Yeah, he said, or excuse me, he did not say. I want to make sure I attribute the right quotes. He did not say. Somebody I overheard saying, that's very cool, but I don't know if it's worth 15,000. And the other guy said he'd take 10 for it, I bet. And then the other guy said, it's pretty cool. I don't know if he goes, we're getting closer. So I think it was right in there. Oh, yeah. Rick says it was a blue tree monitor. Rick would know exactly what I'm talking about. He knows exactly where it was. That thing, that was nice. I did not see the price with my own eyes. So all that money talk is just what I overheard that I think people were talking about. So just fair disclaimers on that.
I could believe that price.
Is that what they go for?
I don't know if that's what they go for, but it would not surprise me in the very least.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was, yes. And it was Sundown. That's exactly correct. That's exactly who I couldn't have produced it, but that is exactly who it was. That is Sundown Reptiles. So, but I did not go look at many, not even many. No, I didn't go look at any ball pythons. I was vending by myself. I was exhausted. Not like dramatic exhausted, but I'm just tired. And if you get a whole bunch of sales, it's easier to walk away from your booth and not worry about sales. If you're not moving stuff, I'm not moving away from the table, So, and I'm Chris probably remembers, I'm kind of a nut about it. Like, I had this real problem. Like, if I'm on, I got to be on kind of thing. I same thing. I didn't go look around last year. I was at the table the whole time last year too. So, anyway,
that's how I am at a show though. Like I'm like, once the customers start coming in, I do like my eyeballs will start to float before I finally go, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like you guys, like normally I take Dom with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like I'll wake him up because he always sleeps during the show. It tells me how great of a time he had, but he slept the whole show.
Right.
So I know he's full of it, but I appreciate his enthusiasm and kindness. But I'll wake him up like, dude, you like, I gotta go. I'll be right back. And on my way back, I might go through like 1 or 2 aisles and look at what's there at the show real quick. And then I don't take a whole lot of time to look around either.
Yeah, I regret, and I should. I mean, looking back, I'm like, that was just Tinley. Like, I literally didn't even go to Justin's booth. I saw Justin a lot, and he was at the auction, but I didn't even go by his booth. And like, duh, what a dumb thing. Like, I should have done that. So, yeah, I should give special thanks to Snakes for the Memories, Jeremy and Holly. There was at least one time, but this happened to probably 3 or 4 different people, and they're like, "Hey, Adam, what's going on? How you been?" I'm like, "Great. Here's the keys. I'll be right back." Like, it was like bathroom time. I was like, "You over there, congratulations!" And I just ran off. You know,
you are the winner.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's funny.
Anyhow, it was good. One day I'll be a bigger fish and blah blah blah. But the hangouts, the people that you can pick their brains on, I was having beers with, I'm not even saying this as a name dropping thing. I'm saying it as a learning experience when you could sit and grab a beer with Steve Casino, or I'd heard of Chris Davenport. I lived in Florida. I couldn't have picked him out of a crowd. Turns out there he was at a table. I was like, "Oh, is that Davenport?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, immediately I started talking to him about producing rodents at volume. Like, who else? Turns out he's got the event in not exactly catering, but event goods background. So we had a lot in common that we hit it off pretty well. So I'm like, just that was great. Hearing Brock and KG debate a variety of things.
That would be a good conversation there,
right? Yeah. So that kind of stuff is really cool. And then from a show standpoint, getting to meet people where you're like, "Yep, I'm writing them down for future." Like tomorrow will be like, "Hey, it's great hanging out in Tinley. Would you like to come on and do Tuesday night sometime?" kind of deal.
Yep, exactly. See, I think a lot of people don't realize how valuable those either after show, dinner outs are, or like after setup, going out to eat with everybody. Because like I have Gettysburg Reptile Expo this weekend. Friday is setup day, so a bunch of us will go. We'll set up, and then we all go out to eat Friday night. And it's just like it's the same thing as like basically it's like a mini Tinley type of deal. You just sit around and you BS, you bounce ideas, you talk shop. Sometimes it's just hanging out too.
Yeah.
But ideas are flying and your gears get turning a little bit. And last time we went out, I forget what we were even talking about, but I came home that night and I came down here into the Snake Room instead of just going to sleep like I should have. I sat down here in the Snake Room thinking about what we were talking about. And it's like, you know what? I think I had to deal with knowing when to move things out of the collection. Like, you're not really progressing me any further in any project. It's time for you to move on, and we're going to fill your spot up with something else, basically.
Yeah, and almost like refocuses and recharges you, right?
Exactly, dude. And I sat down here and I checked off like several females. It's like, okay, you know what? After you lay that year, you're done.
Right.
And I stuck to that. After they laid, got them back on the food, made sure that they were eating good, and put them up for grabs.
Yeah, I immediately started thinking of, all right, how can I implement this? And there's some things that don't make sense. If you don't have 1,200 colonies of rats, it doesn't matter how cheap you can get Missouri down to by buying 5 pallets. I never need to buy 5 pallets of rodent food, hopefully in my life, I don't think. But there's other things where I started going, wait a minute, what does 1,200 colonies of rats smell like? And how do you like,
Ooh.
and he starts going, well, you find out real quick what works and what doesn't. And here's what I do kind of thing. Now, I don't want to put word, if it works for me, then I'll share what he shared. And I don't mean that as in like, I want it for my own self. I mean it as, if it's not practical, I don't want to give bad information out. And if I, there might've been a couple beverages, so I need to, you know, recheck my notes and make sure I have it down. It's not, you guys know me, I'm transparent, but I don't want to give bad information kind of thing. So, but just cool things like that. And then just a camaraderie of good friends. Got to have dinner with Stephen and Courtney, who have been good friends to me all along the way. Really, really good people. By Saturday night, I was so tired and I needed to just like turn the switch off, because then the auction was that night too. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to dinner alone. I'm going to sit at the bar, just have dinner, just not talk to anybody. And I did, and it worked. And as I was finishing up, Tony from Hardwired walked by, and I hadn't seen it was just a little random restaurant. I hadn't seen anybody. He walked by, shook his hand, said, hey, and it was cool. He about 30, you know, if it's 30 seconds later, you know, somebody really thought about it. He came back and he goes, hey, if you're just sitting by yourself, come have dinner with us. And I was like, he didn't realize I was finished. He thought I was just getting started. I was like, man, that's cool. I know Tony. I know of Tony, but I'd be surprised, matter of fact, if he knows me. He's been on my show before, but I don't.
I was gonna say, I thought you had him on your show like 2 seasons ago, maybe. Like it was.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, he's always been good and gracious to me, but we don't interact a whole lot. You know, so I never assume that. I never assume that I'm somebody, you know what I mean? Plus I just don't want to be that kind of guy anyway. So, anyhow, I thought it was really cool. It was nice and gracious of that. So, hey, look at that. That's Fred. Speaking of t-shirts, Fred came by, picked up a t-shirt, said, hey, and it was real cool to get to meet Fred. So I appreciate you, brother. Jeremy, you've done a handful of these now. Let's switch gears for a minute. What do you think now that you've participated, you've sold, you've hosted, you've helped other people participate and sell on these auctions? What's your feeling on them? Take me through them.
All right, my overall feeling is that they're great, but sometimes I think people hang on to what the dollar amount these animals are selling for on them. And by that, I mean, if anybody goes back and watches one of my latest, my auction with Danny from DTMG, I think he sold, it was a Disco Inferno clown. I don't remember if it was male or female. Beautiful freaking animal. Absolutely gorgeous. And it went for $300 or $400. I was really shocked at the price that it went for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've heard several people start saying, that the market's down, this and that. That's just what this, that's what this combo goes for or whatever. Another friend of mine just sold. He actually got featured. It was Morph Market featured him on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Chris from Balls Deep. He's one of the PA guys. And it was like a black pastel ODYB calico female, I think. Beautiful, gorgeous snake. Okay. Absolutely gorgeous. I forget the price tag on it. But it was more than what this clown was. And it's like, I think people need to realize it's like these auctions, like the auction prices aren't what I call the value of the animals. People go to the auctions to get a steal. It's a way for us as breeders to, hey, we need to make some room.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say it's our easy way out, but it's an easier way out. I dove into some conversations with people like Nathan from Infinite Possible Pythons, Chris, several different people in our group. And you have, I think a lot of people need to look at things as to what animals fit where. You have animals that are very good for shows.
Mm-hmm.
That hitting that pet market, like here in PA, the pet market is shows are very pet market. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
you're going to have your breeders, because obviously there's people vending, so there's breeders. I mean, so you're going to want to have some breeder quality stuff as well. But your main target audience, is probably the pet people at some of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to want to have your animals be, pet quality for that. For the auction stuff, I think that's a totally separate roundabout type of animal to go for your auctions. And then, of course, you're going to have your higher end stuff, like, say, exantic clowns and this and that. That I think that stuff is more, that's more just like morph market stuff. Like, I don't know if you want to take those hits on an auction, because depending who's watching, what the time frame is, how their finances are that week, that's gonna, like, that price is gonna fluctuate big time. And
Yeah,
it's a slippery slope a little bit with it.
I think you bring up a lot of good points, and one of the reasons I want to ask, because I think it's a relatively new evolution in the marketplace. So there's always been auctions,
yep,
but not as prevalent, and not as the two ways that they've been adopted in new ways is of course through morph market, but then the phenomenon of it being show content, and not only show content, an avenue of revenue for the sellers and a great opportunity for the buyers. So it's sort of like, as long as everybody understands sort of that social contract that, these are going to be the animals that other people either don't want, but then those people also understand that they're probably going to go at a lower price, but the return on value is you move a whole lot of them at once, and time is money, and there you go. You got time and money back in your pocket. So I did a spot with Jessica just before Tinley on her show, and it was actually after the fact in the green room we were talking about this, but she said, and it just hadn't occurred to me. She said, Adam, there's a lot of people that give her a hard time. Oh, you're sinking the market. It's already a tough market. Why are you going to lower prices? And first, everybody's allowed to their own opinion, but also every unregulated capitalist says, let me handle my business. We're not going to fix prices. The market is the market, and we're finding the market. So I do believe in both of those things as well. But she said, Adam, a lot of times there's people that are smaller breeders that aren't going to buy the infrastructure to go for a show, can't really afford to take the time off of work. So it's one thing, and I never thought of it this way. It's one thing if I could jet off to Green Bay and not think about anything, because I don't have to miss work on Monday because this is primarily work, or I can do my consulting when I get home on Monday. So a lot of people don't have that freedom. And the point being, I'm not missing out on a day at the office and risking the possibility of a $0 show. Somebody else that's risking, I don't want to assume how much people make or don't make in the office, but anywhere from, hell, there were days waiting tables. I was lucky to make $40. I can't risk missing out on my $40 and all the overhead and the show fees, and then still not having anything to show for it, because I know even after working as hard as I have, sometimes I have $0 shows. Hell, Tinley on paper ain't looking very good for me, to be honest with you. So I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it, because honestly, I've been kind of like, it's fine for other people if you want, but I'm probably not going to do it. I don't feel the need to do that. In that context, way less risk, way more opportunity. And if you need the animals moved out, move them out, and everybody wins.
And I think the other thing too, people need to keep in mind is that it's a there and now thing. Like that animal going up for whatever price that is, that's that moment right now
with that audience.
Right. I'll just use like some of my auctions, they get it between 70 to 100 some odd people, depending who's on and all that. You're basing the value off of what 100 people just say are willing to pay for that animal at that night.
Right.
There's certain animals that I think that I'll use, for instance, because I have one on Morph Market. a female clown. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot on this one, Adam.
I was going to say I think there's a lot of lessons in what I think you're about to tell everybody. We didn't show prep this guy, so I'm guessing here, but go ahead.
What do you think or feel the bottom line value on a female clown is?
Oh, this is not where I thought you were going. That's okay, though. That means that we have another topic to discuss in a minute. The bottom, just a single gene, nothing.
Gene, just single gene clown. You know, someone said, what will you take for it?
Yeah, I'm probably going to mark that one. I'm probably going to mark it 250 and then, leave a little wiggle room in there. And I think this is really, I think this is really fitting because I don't want to put them on the spot either. Who knows if their wife knows? Somebody in the audience actually just bought a female clown from me. And I think I think I had it marked at 250 and we did a little, horse trading and maybe he even bought another one. And I was like, well, we'll work that in, but somewhere in there, 250 is the sticker price. And we go from there.
See that right there. I have the one that I have on Morph Market right now listed at like 200. And to me, a female clown, single gene clown should not, there's no reason that animal should go below $200. No reason at all. And I think that a lot of people, because I've heard people say, oh, well, there's one on there there's a female clown on there for 100 or 150, or it's like, sometimes like that's just like, it sounds big, but it's people having some desperation. I think because like they're in a pinch, they just have to move it or something. But like I think we have to hold ourselves accountable to keeping that. We just kind of say, hey, this is where this stops. Like we don't go below this hard deck.
Yeah, but there's too many hands in that. You could do that when you're OPEC and there's 15 of you and there's billions of dollars in the game on oil. There's always going to be those outliers. And to be honest, in my position, which is not necessarily good or bad, I tell people, look, I don't know who that is selling it. Maybe you do, but you know where to find me. You know where I can ask. I've shown the staying power, and I do think it's worth 50 or 60 bucks more or whatever else. And if those people can sell it at that price, I guess more power to them. I value it higher than that. And now this isn't all animals because I've got plenty of misses and male double hets that I'll probably never use. But by and large, most of my animals I'll use. It's worth keeping for me to say I'll use it. And even in this day and age, I'll still always put a female clown to use. Not that I want to stock up on 20 of them, but I will. The other thing, okay, so I ran into this at Tinley, somebody asking, well, can't you go lower? It's a hard market and this and that. And I'm like, not really, because I'm going to do another show next weekend. And I have a marketplace, but on the other hand, if I had to take paid time off of work every time that I did a show, I wouldn't do 26 shows. I don't want to do 26 shows next year. I'm only doing that to learn what shows to do and what not to do. But if I know I have another fresh market right around the corner, and again, using the theme of the small fish, big pond or whatever fishing pond, those dynamics are going to be way different in Green Bay than Tinley. I will do likely better in Green Bay than I did in Tinley. So I guess it goes back to every person's situation is a little bit different. I'm confident in what I offer. I'm confident in my established brand. But again, the thing I love about this industry is that it's largely unregulated when it comes to the economic policies of it. Yep. And it's wild, Wild West capitalism, man, which has its downfalls. I get it. But I don't know that we'll get it. I don't know that we'll get it fixed. I also don't think people necessarily have to try and make every sale either. Now,
no, I think that's like my view on it is At the end, like I'll just use that clown girl for instance. If she doesn't go at 200, she can stay in the rack. I'll feed her for another year and a half, 2 years, or however long it takes her to get up to size.
Right.
And then I'll throw one heck of a banger male to her, and it'll all be worthwhile. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like you said, I don't need to make that sale because her staying here, it only helps me out. It gives me one more clown female to work with. Plus, and this is coming from this man right here, Charlie from Reg and Renee Royals. You breed her. She's now a proven breeder clown female.
Right.
More value on top of that now too.
Yep.
So like you don't lose on it in my eyes.
The other thing, which is where I thought you were going a moment ago, I found myself using the word cultivate. We could cultivate customers, and that doesn't mean we're taking advantage of them. And I won't throw the number around. You can. Out of respect for you, I won't, but you can if you want. It doesn't bother me. You and I did some business recently. Yeah. You and I have a relationship. We've both worked at it. So I could say you built it with me. I built it with you. You've followed me enough to know that I'm a nut for super gravel.
Yep.
And that you know, super gravel is going to look great in clown. You got in touch with me hot off the wheels of me spending some money on an auction. So you did your homework and you go, you know what, Adam's feeling pretty good. So you timed it right. And you called me up and you said, I got a great gravel clown girl. No pressure, but if you want, you know, you could do it at this price. Now, I'm a believer in a couple things. One, if it's the right animal from the right person and the right quality, as long as it's an honest number, I'm not gonna beat anybody up over it. If it's, I would take it off your hands for this, or if it's a wholesale, look, you need 10 of them gone. Well, that's a different business model. That's a whole different thing. It was a fair price. It was an animal I need from a person I trusted. I bet, and this is a big if because who knows, that exact animal was never in an auction. But from what I've seen on the auctions, I bet that animal would have gone for about half. I'm saying on the podcast auction on your show.
Yeah, you're probably about right.
I think it would have gone for about half of what I paid for it. Now, somebody might be going, well, then you overpaid for it. Well, no, it was never on the auction to begin with. And I bet you probably, and again, it was what I needed. It was the right thing. Jeremy did his homework on me. So I bet in that way, you made a couple $100 extra just by building a relationship, cultivating a customer, and timing it right when you put it in front of that customer. That is business. There's nothing wrong with any of that. There's nothing nefarious about any of that. And I'm going to be stoked to get that animal, and I still need to pay you for the rest of it too. But I got to get, I'm pumped to have that girl.
Well, let me tell you, dude, this is the funny thing, because I was going to keep her for myself. Like she was freaking gorgeous. She is gorgeous. I mean, just so everybody knows, she's a pastel gravel clown. Absolutely just radiant colors. If it wouldn't be for the fact that I am so hell bent on asphalt stuff, she would have stayed. Like it wouldn't even have been up for grabs. But I had gotten her and I contemplated about it, and I thought, no, you know, we'll feed her, we'll take her to a couple shows, we'll find her a good home. And then before, like, she went to one show, and I forget, I think I was watching one of your videos or one of your lives or something, and the super asphalt talk came on, or not the super gravel stuff you were talking about. I thought it's like, you idiot. It's like, well, hit Adam up. I was like, hook the brother up. It's like, hopefully he doesn't think that I'm like legit targeting him, but it's like, hit him up and just say, hey, I've got this. If anybody can use it, I'd rather see her go to you than anybody else.
Well, and
thankfully you needed her or wanted her.
Well, that, and if now there's careful, everybody. I'm not going to just sling money out there for every gravel clown that comes along. I will say, if it's at a fair price and I got the money in my pocket, I'll buy every one of them that I can, though. I'll tell you that much. I think they're beautiful. I love the project. The vision that for a long time, a lot of people told me you should pick what you're going to be known for. You should have like a project you focus on. And I was like, why? They're all cool. This is neat and that. And man, Super Gravel was like, oh, there it is. And then I went and looked at what's been done and, more importantly, not been done in that project. And I was like, okay, this makes sense to have a less crowded lane with huge opportunity. And I got all these different ingredients around me that I can mix in. I can, so like, it's funny. I picked up a couple Wookiee Poshet clowns this weekend, and I'm like, all right, if they prove, I'm going into the clowns. If they don't prove, there's no Wookiee Super Gravels out there. Yeah. I'll work it right in. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, what opportunities are there and what can I make work on things? So anyway, I thought it was a great example. And honestly, there's probably was more, I'm sure you didn't put all that thought into it, which maybe you did, though.
I honestly did.
Yeah. So it's like you can go. That is the perfect example of what I'm talking about of cultivating business. It wasn't like I thought I owed you a favor or he was pitiful for you that, oh, Jeremy needs my money. No, he had what I wanted and I paid him an honest price for it. And he did his homework and he got it in front of me. So Miguel brings up the total other end of the spectrum. And this is great because there's a million different scenarios. Yeah. If you make 300 clutches, have employees, overhead, road and bill, you don't bother trying to necessarily cultivate a certain price point or you probably are cultivating your brand, but maybe not the brand of a certain project. Yeah. You take what you can and you move on. Yeah. But most of us aren't in that situation. And it's funny because that brings it full circle. That brings it back to where the auction format might make sense, or we can all think of some big houses that constantly run 50%, like everybody knows you don't pay the sticker price for their snakes. It's always 50% off somehow or another.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said, I mean, that everybody has their own position and where they're at. Like me, I don't have, I'm thankful I don't produce nowhere near 300 clutches. I'm kind of half spazzing over. I might hit 20 clutches this season, and 2 of those are carpet python clutches. Now, luckily, the third carpet python clutch is going to be at Nathan's place, so he's stuck with dealing with them. But that's like possibly 20, probably right around 20 eggs per mom. So there's 4. That's half that hatchling rack right there. And just
that's true. Yeah, the dynamic. I didn't think about that. Yeah, if you got ball pythons and boas, man, you need to move stuff fast. Ooh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Certain situations, and so this year I might feel a little bit more of that pinch where it's like, okay, I do need to move these things a little bit more. We'll have to see how it works out. I do know I'm feeling the pinch on getting the other section of the snake room done.
Yeah, you've been talking about that a while now, man. How's that going?
Oh, it looks the same as it did when you were last year. If anything, Kara started cluttering it up with boxes and bags of baby clothes.
Well, see,
so I got more work.
Wives and moms know about. They're like, oh yeah, you're gonna expand. Start slowly moving stuff. Yeah, what's never gonna fit there? Yeah, you're gonna expand, huh? Those of y'all that know Charlie at Reagan Renee Royal Pythons, if you don't know, you should know. He's one of the sharpest, insightful minds. And that's a feeling statement, but a rational statement would be the episode that I had him on and he went through his spreadsheet and the 19 tabs to calculate what he should be breeding to each other. This is on. I have the ingredients. Keith says, you're giving away your secrets. I already got the ingredients in house. Other people got to go buy them. So that's all right. I'm doing all right. Hey, I got to pay some bills real fast. And then
I know all about that.
That's right, man. And then we got to talk about the summer festivities as well, I think. So, yes. Guys, check out REDLINE shipping. By now, if you don't know about REDLINE shipping, you should, and I'm not making fun of you if you don't. Go to redlineshipping.com and you'll see how easy it is to use their platform. You'll see their competitive prices and all that. I'm fresh off of Tinley, and there's this whole like recency bias. That's like everybody's favorite word these days, especially in sports analysis. But the people at Redline, I mean, Robin's great, but the people around him are absolutely fantastic. I got to the people I did get to spend time with this weekend, Judy, AJ, and Erica from Redline, just absolute gold. I mean, it's no secret or surprise when a business is doing well, it's led by somebody who is a wonderful person, and then they surround themselves with wonderful people. Like, perfect, top to bottom. Shedtesting.com. That's Charlie at Gray Rider Reptiles. Got to see him at Tinley. I'm not at liberty to say, I can't put this out there just yet, but let me tell you, Charlie's on the cool stuff. He is the ultimate sort of industry disruptor. He's the ultimate like alternative to the norm. Go check him out. Use the promo code proper15 if you want to get 15% off of 2 shed test orders. I got to see if either he'll let me spill the beans on some of the plans that he has coming up, or if he'll come on my show and do it himself, whatever. But there's cool stuff. The guy's not going anywhere, and he is innovating. He's reinvesting every penny. He's got new tests right on the horizon. He was telling me stuff. I don't know if he was like dropping hints to like that was like the nod, the wink, like go ahead and let it slip. I got to ask him. I'll know more next week. But he is creating his own tests right now. He's doing fantastic stuff. So go check out Charlie. Very, very fast turnaround time, personalized service. And he is the one handling the testing. You can call the man himself directly. Check it out. Brandon Nixon also got to see his animals at Tinley. Very cool. He's working the orange jeans. Let's make sure I get this right. Sunset, Ultramel, a Monarch, Hypo, and he's in Maryland if anybody is looking for a local or regional option. And Brandon's got just primo stuff. Again, these things don't happen in a vacuum. His video production is incredible. The detail that he puts into his breeding and the thought that he puts into his planning is incredible. So check out Brandon Nixon. The Orange Projects, that's what you got to remember. Portuguese Pythons, that is Danny and Renee Rocha out in Chino, California. They are doing cool stuff. They just hatched a super blackhead Ultramel clutch. I think they still have some of those available. I have some of their pied Ultramel combos and het combos from them that I'm working as well. So very cool. Again, high-end stuff, nice stuff that is just really primo. Again, great people as well. So go check them out. Trevor at Ball Labs, Aurora, Colorado. Trevor's been keeping reptiles for 20 years, breeding ball pythons for 15 years. He's working the Puzzle, Ultramel, Clown, VPI Axanthic, Tri-Stripe, Monsoon, Zebra, and Sunset. Not screwing around. The logo is perfect for him, man. He's just over the top. It's great on the personality, but he's that passionate about his animals. He is also a licensed rodent, what would you call it? Rodent dealer, rodent producer in Colorado. You got to have a license for it. He's above water. He's doing it right. Go check him out. Last but not least, Chris at B and S Reptilia. You could check with me or check with the man directly himself, but he's got a list of the species he's working with in 2024, projected hatchlings that you can be ready for, whether it be ball pythons, blood pythons, boa constrictors, locality boas, Pituophis, colubrids. Man, I learned another Latin word, but I don't know if he has any. I don't even know what it is. I better not say it because he doesn't, in case he doesn't have it. But I learned a new one at Tinley. I'm excited to use it. I'm going to check with him. Last but not least, he's a wonderful business partner, and he is the distributor of the Chipper in Pennsylvania. And if you're not in Pennsylvania and you want some of the Chipper cocoa, go talk to him. Boom. Thank you for the sponsors. Thank you for 44 of you sticking around. Those are the people that keep this machine going. I don't think I said it. Use promo code proper5 for $5 off your next Redline shipping label. And while not official sponsors, Cold Blooded Cafe, if you've used your promo code from Proper 10 or 11 in the past. They've reset the codes. Just saying, you could probably use it again. Oh, how about that, huh? Little inside info there for you. So,
well, see, I need a code for Chris though, because a lot of times I get rats from Chris too. So,
I know that Chris is in rats. I'm a one rat man, one rat company advertiser. That is, it is a commitment I've made, and it is only because I didn't know he did rats until the other deal was already done. Otherwise I'd pitch that for him too. But, if I weren't going to buy from Cold Blooded, or something happened to Cold Blooded, I'd give Chris a call for sure.
See, I had to teach Chris some new rat sizes though, because he didn't have the exact sizes I needed. So I had to explain to him the terminology of I can't really use it on the live, sadly. But
well, is it analogous to like when people would come in the restaurant and they'd be like, I want it like medium rare but plus, and I'm like, some medium? They're like, no. Medium rare. It'd be like medium minus. Like, I know. Tell me what temperature you want, and I'll make it.
Kind of similar. I'll tell you backstage though. It's kind of iffy terminology.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Chris now has a new size frame to go with his rats. Chris's PG version is mediums. Yes.
I gotcha. Yeah, I see. It all clicked where this was headed. Yeah. I've made some other commitments to my sponsors that we would have a certain tone on here, so to speak. Jeremy, we got just a little bit of time for one more segment. Let's talk business. This not business this summer. What do you do in the summer times? And tell us about this event that you put on, man, and give us a little of the history and the story of it.
Well, it's all due to Phil there at Finger Snakes. He started this whole PA breeder group chat thing. We went out to freaking Shady Maple I think it was a Saturday for breakfast. And I had a blast with it. And I had this crazy idea of, why don't I do a cookout around 4th of July time? Because everybody's normally off, perfect time. And everybody was in favor of it. So I did it the first year. That was 2 years ago I did that. And a decent amount of people showed up. A lot of PA people, some people from Maryland. I was impressed. And it got dubbed, however you want to look at it, Wharf Fest. So everybody had such a good time. I thought, well, we're going to do it next year.
That's Phil's comment is literally, there's a moment when you said, well, it all started with Phil. And like, I bet my eyebrows went up. I was like, what? Okay, I'm learning. All right, here we go.
Yeah, it's all Phil's fault. In all honesty, it is all Phil's fault. And then it also is partially Chris's, because Chris messaged me the one day before the first barbecue, and he goes, hey, are you doing this cookout or not? I was like, yes, thank you for giving me that kick in the rear end that I needed to actually pick a date. And I just picked that, around that 4th of July time, whenever I could get off for that week to prep. Because as you can imagine, there's a lot to get ready when you're expecting who knows how many people over for a cookout.
Yeah. So last year, eyeballing it, how many people did you have? 65? Was that the over-under? What do you think it was?
There's probably between 60 to 70 people. But see, here's the bad thing. Anyway, that's why I'm changing how I'm doing it this year. I spent so much time down in the snake room giving show and tells and tours. I missed 95% of the barbecue.
I tried to cheers you 5 times on the microphone. I got drunk trying to cheers you. I was like, well, okay, now, all right, we'll try them next time.
I felt so bad about that. Like after the party was
over.
Oh,
don't feel bad. I thought it was funny, man. You were doing your thing, man.
Well, no, but you made that travel. Jeff and Angie from Celtic Balls, Holly from Texoma, you guys all made this long pilgrimage basically to come here for a cookout, and I was gone the whole time. This year I told myself, no snake tours. If somebody wants to come down and see the snake room, you either got to get here before the barbecue starts, or you gotta wait till after it's over.
Yeah,
I'm not missing all the fun, and like, you get stuck down here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're around a bunch of snake people. Yeah, definitely. So, you actually, well, so you guys were great. You invited me out to play some music, and I never like, everybody's got their element. So the cool thing, well, there was many cool things. One cool thing was, kind of pubs and nighttime are my element. 2 PM at a barbecue really isn't my element. And then speaking out of each other's elements, Phil was amazing. Phil's a ridiculous guitarist, amazing.
Yeah.
Goes out of his way to learn my set to help put on a good show together. And we hadn't rehearsed, we hadn't ever played together. To this day, we've played one gig together. So it was a real blast. There's a real like communication and connection that goes on with musicians that are both listening and both care about putting on a good show. And so, like, in some ways you're conducting and communicating along the way, and then the person in that role will see the other person doing something, and you're like, oh, this has to change on the second. This is too on fire. Like, I thought I was going to start singing, but you're going to keep going, man. So, like, anyway, it was real cool to play with somebody who's done that. And it was a blast. So I thought it was really cool. And from a business standpoint, when you talked about driving and commuting and the pilgrimage and all that, I'm forever like, how can I get something I love doing paid for? How can I make this a business? And so my family and we took a vacation to Maine last summer, which I hadn't taken a vacation like that since before I got into restaurants, I don't think. So I was like, man, this is getting expensive. How am I going to cut into these expenses a little bit? And you came right up with the time. I was like, oh, I can be there. So I flew Kelly and Charlie. I put them on a plane in Boston, and I drove there, and I talked to, well, I won't say my tax guy said this, but I pitched the idea to the tax guy. I was like, how much, if there's a gig that I'm, could send a bill for, he's like, well, the drive there could be debatable, but the drive home, that's the mileage, man. He's like, where's the gig? I was like, Pennsylvania. He's like, that's a lot of miles. I was like, I know. He's like, go ahead and take that gig, man. I was like, yes. All right, cool. There we go. So it worked out well.
The funny thing is like, because you got to come for the second ever barbecue, which was bigger than the first one by a lot. And then on top of it, you provided the awesome music, which I have to say, it was really cool because you have always talked about playing and, you going out and doing your gigs. It was really awesome to get to actually watch and hear and see you actually do it. Like it was just really cool.
It was like worlds colliding for me, though, because I mean, they're similar, but there's a little different musician personality on stage versus this. And I mean, I've been playing music professionally for coming up on 30 years. So I have a little more confidence and swagger in that element than even I do right here, So it was like, say, a little bit different worlds colliding there. All right, we're up against the 8:15. Jeremy, here's where I am at. I have no show to vend that weekend. Check mark. My son is actually going to be on vacation with his grandparents out of the house that weekend. Not abandoning my wife with the child to go party in PA. Check mark.
Check.
What I'm saying is, I think I can make it happen. I think things work out. We'll talk some final details, but I think at this point we'll be splitting hairs to find any problems with it. So I will plan to be there this year.
Dude, that is like, we set the bar here, so I have to at least take the bar one more. Like, we at least have to keep the bar here. Like, I've kind of set that. Yeah, Chris is probably doing some happy dance right now because I know he was we were both very like, we've got to get Adam here.
Well, we got to figure out some logistics because I'll have to fly. And I hate to say it, but I'm not checking one of my guitars on a commercial airline.
No, I don't blame you on that one. Phil probably has some extras.
I was going to say, we just got to call in some favors or trade out some favors or however it works. But like I say, at this point, I think it's just working out some final details.
Awesome, dude. And for anybody that would like to attend, the date is July 6th. Party's probably going to start around noontime and go till whenever the last person leaves.
It was late as I was going to say, as I recollect, as I do not recollect very clearly at all, it was pretty late that evening.
Normally the last person leaves like anywhere between 10 and 11 is when the last person normally
I think I was well asleep by then because I left the next, I think
I didn't even get to see you in the morning when you left. You were gone.
I was gone, man. I had a straight shot drive. I drove from Pennsylvania to Florida that day back home, man. Yeah. I was gone.
Ooh, Phil says he might have a nice classic tobacco burst Les Paul available.
Yeah, I'll take that one back on the plane with me. The problem is, unless we get a full band with a bass, I probably got to play acoustic though, and let Phil take the like two electrics just sound clangy together. I think I don't know. Me and Phil, we'll work it out. I will not turn down a tobacco burst Les Paul. I saw it last year. I was like, what are you doing with that? And he's like, no, there's nothing. I'm like, okay, but what are you gonna do it? He wouldn't sell it to me.
You gotta just whittle at him. But yeah, July 6th, message me on Instagram because I am taking head counts already. We're at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Roughly 25 people already that should be there.
Yeah, I as I alluded to at the beginning, and we're not gonna have a chance to dive into, I think you're gonna have a good problem on your hands. I think you're going to go, we're done doing it at the house. It's over at the house.
I'm not grilling I'm not doing grilling this time though. Karen and I talked about, we're going to do some pork roasts in the oven, do some pork barbecue, make a lot less hassle, just shred it up and run with it. That way I'm not cooking, I'm not grilling. Boom.
All right. I got to run. I'm in overtime. It's my son's birthday. I got a boogie. I'm going to do a fast exit here.
Family first.
But Jeremy, we got a lot more ground to cover. Let's do a pre-cookout show heading into mid-June, like 2-week heads up, heading into July. Will you come back and do that one?
Hell yeah, bro.
Okay. You guys heard it.
Send me a date and I'll make it happen.
All right. Check out Jeremy Warfel's link down below, and do me a favor, message Jeremy, everybody message Jeremy to get a LinkTree link. You platforms everywhere. I don't have space in my comments to list all your links, man. Get a LinkTree. Help yourself out, man.
I do need to get one. The Bad Porter's Husbandry Pro gives you the ability to make a LinkTree.
Then do it, man. Get it. You're not coming back on in June unless it's on there. So I only put your Morph Market store, but check them out on Instagram, YouTube, Husbandry Pro, wherever else you could find them. Warfel's Morphs, guys. I'm sorry to run. We were hitting a good stride there, and I think it was over 50 people hanging out, which I'm thankful for. We'll do it soon, but I got to go be a dad, and I'm proud of my boy. I'm thankful for him, so we got to go celebrate his birthday. All right, guys. Cheers, everybody. I'm out. Jeremy, I'm not even hanging out afterwards, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Tell your boy happy birthday.
I will. Thanks, everybody. See y'all soon.